We're live here in Houston, where Harvey's rains keep coming. The waters keep rising, and according to the National Weather Service, the city is now facing an unprecedented flood event. Thousands of people are in need of rescue, including these elderly residents at this nursing home in Dickinson, about 30 miles southeast of Houston, who had to be airlifted out of waist-deep water. So far, Harvey has claimed 2 lives, but officials warn the death toll could rise. It's estimated the storm has affected about a quarter of the population of Texas, or almost 7 million people. We've been following Harvey's path of destruction since late last week, and we have NBC News correspondents throughout the region. We want to start tonight with Jacob Rascone. This is his hometown. He's in southeast Harris County right now, outside of the city. Jacob, good evening.
Good evening. Earlier you called it a city of islands, and I think that was a great way to describe it. It rains and it storms so much here all the time, but never quite like this. There are so many bayous and creeks and rivers all throughout the city, and they can handle a lot of rain, but not 5 inches per hour, and not 20 inches in a day, and not 2 feet, and then another 2 feet. This area, for example, is a great example. This area during Hurricane Rita and Tropical Storm Allison flooded mere inches. This time it flooded more than 10 feet. There are hundreds of homes back there that are flooded. And as you said, and as the video shows, in the more than 6 million people that live in this area, so many of them are affected and cannot move. The city is paralyzed in a way. Schools are closed. The airports are closed. Hospitals have been flooded. It's really a precarious situation, especially because it's day 2 in what will be a 5-day or so disaster. Lester?
All right, Jacob Rascone tonight, thank you. President Trump returned to the White House earlier today after a weekend at Camp David. He plans to travel here to Texas on Tuesday to tour the devastation. The president has been praising the state and federal response to Harvey on Twitter. Gotti Schwartz is in Dickinson, where neighbors have been reaching out and rescuing each other. Gotti.
Yeah, good evening. Right now we're in Dickinson. You see these are boats right here that are bringing people back. You guys all right?
Please help us. Please help us.
Were you guys over in one of those homes?
Yeah.
Wow. How high was the water?
Chest deep.
Chest deep?
Yeah.
Jeez. I'm so glad you guys are okay.
Cars, everything.
I'm so sorry. Well, what they're doing is they're bringing them here to basically what's become somewhat of an Ellis Island, if you will. It's high ground. It's where people can come and be reunited with their family members. Take a look over here. These are people that are waiting for their family. There's some rescue crews over in the distance. And then there are more rescue crews that continue to go out. A lot of people out here worried about the weather. A lot of people worried about family members that are still stuck there. And everybody looking at that forecast knowing that more rain is on the way. Back to you.
Some remarkable scenes around here. Gotti Schwartz, thank you. We are now beginning to see helicopter rescues here in Houston, expected to continue throughout the night. One of the questions people are asking here is, why wasn't there a mandatory evacuation order for the city, which may be facing a new threat in the days ahead? Here with more on all that is Stephanie Gosk in southwest Houston.
Lester, we have some important news tonight from the Army Corps of Engineers. They manage and control the 2 major dams in Houston, and they tell us tonight that there has been so much water so quickly that they will have to do controlled releases overnight of those dams. The Addicks Dam, if you know the area, at 2 a.m., the Barker Dam at 11 a.m. That water goes into Buffalo Bayou, and again, if you know this city, that is the bayou that runs through the center of town. And to give you some perspective on this release overnight, these dams were built in 1945. They have never, in the history of the dams, ever had to release water during an event like this. When I spoke with the safety manager on top of the Addicks Dam on Saturday morning, he said that their intention was to keep those gates closed the entire time. We're now being told they have to open them. Lester?
All right, Stephanie Goss, thank you very much. So what's the forecast for Houston and Texas in the coming week? NBC News meteorologist Dylan Dreyer joins me. The hurricane 2 days past. Normally you'd be thinking about recovery. We are still very much in the middle of this.
And we still have several days to go. And the thing with the tropical downpours, they come and go. But when they come, they could produce 1 to 3 inches of rain at a time. Sometimes, like we've seen the past day or so, they've fallen at rates of 4 to 6 inches per hour. Right now, the storm is moving slowly southeast at 3 miles per hour. It's finally on the move, but all of that moisture coming in from the Gulf of Mexico will continue to fuel these tropical downpours. So as long as this storm stays in the Houston area, this whole part of southeastern Texas and Louisiana will see more and more rain. We could end up with an additional 10 to 20 inches of rain on top of the 25 inches on the ground, putting storm totals up around 50 inches. And then the river flooding is a concern all the way through next week.
When I was driving up from Corpus Christi today on the Corpus Christi on the outside of town, there were tornado warnings. Was that associated with the backside of the storm?
It's because of the energy of a tropical system. So we still have the possibility of tornadoes on top of everything else.
And all right, Dylan Dreyer, thanks very much for your coverage. That's going to do it for now. We'll be keeping an eye all night long on the flooding here in Houston. And Dylan and I will be back tomorrow morning on the Today Show. And I'll see you again tomorrow on NBC Nightly News. Until then, I'm Lester Holt. For all of us here, good night.
More Americans watch NBC News than any.
And good evening to you. I'm First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wade Hampton. Just want to keep you posted here on the weather situation. Still good news. Relatively good break here in rainfall across southwest Louisiana. Beginning to see more and more rain developing off to our west over in southeast Texas again. But this rain is moving northwest, so it's not moving in our direction. What we're watching for is additional rain that may develop to our south. Take a quick look at the radar in motion across our viewing area. A few showers across portions of Vernon Parish. Those are moving off to the north. We'll slide farther south. Some light rain right now, places like Jennings toward Lake Arthur, but there's definitely more rain off the coastline. You can see here's Cameron Parish here, and you can see the rain that's out here. It's definitely still scattered in nature. We're not seeing the widespread significant rain like earlier today, but the bottom line, there are showers here, and it is noteworthy to mention that any of these could potentially produce some isolated tornadoes. There is still some rotation going on in the atmosphere. A much wider view of the satellite and radar perspective. You can see the center of Tropical Storm Harvey down here kind of north of the Corpus Christi area, but there's not a lot of rain out here to our south just yet, but beginning to see more and more showers developing again to our south. We'll have to watch to see exactly where those set up. Want to show you our Futurecast computer model. Not that I have perfect faith in its placement of the rain here, but the idea that somewhere between Houston to maybe as far east as Lafayette, we'll see a significant band of rain develop at some point tonight looks very likely, and I think that sometime would be after midnight, maybe as late as early tomorrow morning. How much rain from that band? On average, probably 5 to 10 inches of rain could fall. But the problem is there's no way for me to tell you where that band could set up. You can see Futurecast indicating maybe farther to our west, but I do want to stress that it could be anywhere over our viewing area, maybe even farther west, closer to Houston. So unfortunately, it's one of those scenarios we're just going to have to watch and kind of keep an eye on the radar overnight into early tomorrow morning. My word of advice, if you must travel overnight, be sure and check the weather. You can obviously use our 7 Storm Team mobile weather app to check the radar at any point. Be sure and follow us here on KPLC and KVHP, where we'll have updates at the top of every hour now until 7 News Nightcast. And meteorologist Ben Terry will be in later tonight with updates overnight as well. There is a flash flood watch for the entire viewing area through Thursday, a tornado watch for Calcasieu, Jeff Davis, and Cameron Parish until 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's probably going to be extended into the day tomorrow as well. So tonight, obviously there's no major flooding right now, but I would still urge you to stay inside, especially once the rain redevelops. And of course, please download our news and weather apps. And if you do have our app, you can always send us pictures. There's a submit feature in the weather app that you can send us pictures or videos. Please do so safely. But if you do have any pictures or videos of flooding or anything like that to send us, be sure and send them our way. They may end up on the newscast. Again, I'll have another update coming up at around 8 o'clock tonight. Otherwise, we'll see you tonight on Nightcast. Now back to regular programming.
In rushing,